Hey, hi, Anxiety Society. This is Victoria again, and I'm making you a second video the morning after Easter when I'm looking like a hag because I had a party last night and big day at church and stuff. But you asked me a really important question. Actually, you've asked me two, and I'm going to try to remember the second one that I wanted to address um, that you asked yesterday. But you asked me if I had any recommendations for what to do in that moment of adrenaline overload that any of us who have anxiety or who've suffered with it know and have experienced many times. That moment is it's sometimes hard to identify because hi, there's my cat. Hi, Ermi. Because like for me, I can be in the midst of really engrossing work or in the midst of a sound sleep when it comes on. But for me, it always starts with a kind of a sense of tingling and heat throughout my body, and a great sense of discomfort. And I'm going to describe some of my symptoms in this video, hoping again not to trigger you. And one of the ways that you can listen to me share my experience of anxiety and not get triggered is to just keep breathing. And maybe even like you can put your hands right here or wherever you most sense your anxiety and just like, or hold your hands out as in, I'm not taking this in for myself. I'm just hearing somebody describe it. All of these, everything that we do to communicate to our mind and body that we're okay, that this moment will pass, that this is anxiety, that this is an adrenaline rush. It doesn't mean that I'm losing my mind. It doesn't mean anything. That's all very helpful in managing this disorder. Again, I'm not a doctor, and this is not to replace medical treatment. I'm drinking a cup of coffee because one of the things that I can do now is have coffee, and while I was suffering with anxiety, that was a bad idea. So, I think that the stories we tell ourselves in that moment of adrenaline overload are really important because what we can do is we can either observe the sensation starting to come with a sense of compassion and respect and go, oh, okay, that's happening right now. Oh, I feel like my body's getting all tingly, and for me, like I'm feeling a sense of unreality, like I'm not quite in my body. Gee, that's really uncomfortable. And then I do something that I've worked with a therapist on for years ago. Is called self-parenting, where you treat yourself like a child who's in distress and needs attention, but you're the adult, and you're the parent, and you're like saying to this distressed person in your care, what do you need right now? And this is something that is really so helpful for me in general in life. We live in a really callous time, and we live in a very insensitive time where people are much more likely to be aggressive and confrontational and challenging or sarcastic, dismissive. And I don't know if you grew up in a family like that, and as a very sensitive person, you may have. And we get told repeatedly through our lives, like, don't be stupid, you're so high maintenance, you're too intense, you're too sensitive, what's your problem? And none of those are helpful or productive in the management of anxiety disorder. So one of the things that can happen is that we can have that self-talk going on in our mind. What's the matter with you? Why is this happening again? You must be crazy. And I want to recommend a book by a woman named Tara Bennett Goldman called Emotional Alchemy: How the Mind Can Heal the Heart. She was very helpful to me in this. I read this book years and years ago before I really had anxiety symptoms starting. She was very helpful in teaching me about the Buddhist practice of observing our emotions with compassion. And I think that observing an adrenaline overload response with compassion is part of that, another very healthy practice. I remember having an anxiety attack in the car with a friend. I was driving to a concert that I was actually going to be performing in the concert as part of a musical ensemble. And I was having the sensations of prickling starting in my chest and radiating out to my arms and stuff, and a little bit of shortness of breath, and all of those, maybe some tingling in my head, and all of those things that for me I understood at that time meant, oh, here comes an anxiety attack. And so because my friend is very compassionate and understanding and accepting, I could say to her, Raleigh, we were in the midst of a conversation, and I just said, hey, can I just tell you that I think I'm starting to have an anxiety attack? And she said, what can I do for you? What can we do? I think she said, what can we do to make you more comfortable? It was such the perfect thing to say, it's like, she didn't go, well, what's going on? What's the matter? She was like, oh, okay. So what can we do to make you more comfortable? And that made me think about it. And I was like, okay, I'm going to just, instead of trying to caretake her and say, oh no, I'm fine. I just wanted to say something, that game we play, oh, I'm fine. I said, well, I think it would really help if I could open the window, get some fresh air, and if we turned off the radio, and if maybe I could just stop talking for a while. And she was like, that's all completely possible. Let's do all those things. So she was like that loving, compassionate parent that that I'm trying to learn to do for myself, and that I think all of us deserve. We all deserve that compassionate care and presence in the moment. She didn't pull over and get dramatic or say, well, maybe you shouldn't do this concert then. Maybe performing triggers your anxiety. Like, nothing. She just received me where I was and said, how can we make you more comfortable? Another thing that I remember when I was having anxiety attacks, I would get on the phone with my friend Michael. And I know that you don't use the phone because it causes you to have anxiety, and that's fine. But this was just that's everybody kind of has their own ways. But I would get on the phone with Michael and say, because he was a sufferer as well and had been through it, and I'd say, okay, I'm at home alone and I'm having an anxiety attack and nothing's working. So will you just stay on the phone with me? And in this very cheerful way that he has, he would just be like, yep. And sometimes we would just stay on the phone in silence. I just knew that he was there, breathing. And every now and then he'd go like, hey. And I'd say, hi, I'm here. I'd be like curled up in my couch, just kind of trying to calm down, And then sometimes I'd ask him to just chatter and tell me fun, like theater gossip or something, which he did. Ermengarde, my cat is, you see her little face? She's like, I want to talk to this person. Tell him to get a cat. And that's true. Animals are amazingly healing. Okay, so I'm trying to think what the other thing was that you asked me about, but this is obviously going to be a continuing series. So again, I'm just really glad that we connected, and being able to talk about this and maybe help somebody else the way I was helped means a lot to me. So that's how it works, my friend. All right. Take care. I'll talk to you later.